With Russell Westbrook unable to take the court because he is currently in protocols, the Los Angeles Lakers have replaced Russ with Isaiah Thomas, and I've got to say, I could not be happier because Isaiah Thomas is one of the greatest underdog stories that the NBA has ever seen. Isaiah is a man who's 5'9", was previously the 60th pick in the NBA draft, and rose from that 60th pick to not only become an all-star, but in 2017, Isaiah was also All-NBA second team and finished 5th in that year's MVP voting. Yes, back in 2017, before all of his injuries, Isaiah Thomas averaged almost 30 points per game and looked like he was going to be an NBA all-star for years to come. Then of course came the injuries, then of course came Isaiah bouncing from team to team, and now Isaiah Thomas is officially signing a 10-day contract with the Los Angeles Lakers to replace Russell Westbrook, who, if you did not know, is currently in the Big C protocol. Still not sure how YouTube is treating that word, but with that in mind, let's jump into this video. Let's talk about Isaiah Thomas. We're going to talk about what potential contribution he could bring to a team, what potential contribution he could bring to the Lakers, and whether or not I think he's going to stick around in the league. Also, whether or not I believe he deserves to stick around in the league, and I do have a few interesting talking points to say about that. So stick around, but for now, let's jump into this story, because if you guys didn't know, a Klay Thompson video is coming tomorrow. That video was already finished when Isaiah Thomas officially signed a 10-day contract with the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, this is fitting for several reasons. One, Isaiah is teaming back up with LeBron James, who he previously did not have success with. Two, that same season that Isaiah did not have success with LeBron, he also played on the Lakers, so this is a homecoming for Isaiah. And of course, three, the team that he was best on, the Boston Celtics, are historically bitter rivals with the Los Angeles Lakers, so really, the seeds for a redemption story could not have been planted better. Now, as it stands right now, the Lakers do have a few guys in the Big C protocol. That includes Russell Westbrook, as previously mentioned, but I really do think Isaiah Thomas is going to get a chance on the Lakers to show what he can do. Now, whether or not that means he remains on the Lakers, that will remain to be seen. But really, I just want to bring up one thing right off the bat in this video, and that's this. A lot of people say that Isaiah Thomas is not currently in the NBA because of his defense. Now, the reasons for this appear obvious. Isaiah is a short player. He's 5'9", and so it would make sense that teams would attack him on defense. But before we continue, I do want to see, is there truth to these claims? Is Isaiah really that bad of a defender? And so when looking at defense, it is of course a very complicated stat. It is of course very hard to gauge a player's full defensive value just from numbers alone. So with that in mind, we're working with what we've got here, and I'm going to be looking at offensive box score plus minus along with defensive box score plus minus. Now, if you look at these two numbers, you can see one thing. If you look as Isaiah Thomas's career progressed and then eventually hit its height in the 2017 season, we see that his offensive box score plus minus numbers generally trended upwards until 2017. But before we continue, guys, I'm very excited to say that someone I've worked with a long time, SeatGeek, is back and sponsoring this video. And honestly, they couldn't be coming back at a better time because live events are back and SeatGeek has all the deals you could possibly want. Whether it's basketball, baseball, football, concerts, festivals, you name it, SeatGeek puts tickets from all over the web and puts them all in one place for you to get the best deal possible. Buying with SeatGeek is very simple, and personally, my favorite thing is on SeatGeek, they rate every single ticket from 0 to 10, so you know that you are getting the best deal imaginable. And when you're on the app looking at tickets, SeatGeek also gives you a preview of the seat you're about to buy. And also, guys, this is really a no-brainer because SeatGeek is hooking you guys up. If you go and download SeatGeek and use the promo code 2KMike, you are going to get $20 off your first order. That is $20 off your first purchase using the promo code 2KMike. An awesome deal. I know you guys are excited to go watch live sports again, so make sure you go click the link in the description. Make sure you go download SeatGeek, use my promo code, get $20 off, and with that said, let's continue with the video. We can also see that his defensive box score plus minus numbers basically stayed around the same. What is clear though is that these numbers are negative, which means that when compared to a league average player, defensively in the box score, Isaiah has come up as a negative. But the thing is, from the moment he entered the NBA, Isaiah's offensive box score plus minus outweighed his defensive box score plus minus, and by the time he got to Boston, it began to outweigh it by a large amount. Then though, we look at 2018 and we see minus 0.9 on offense, minus 3.9 on defense. 2019, even worse on offense at minus 4. And then in 2020, his last actual season, I'm not going to count 2021 because he only played 3 games, but in 2020, again, Isaiah was a negative on the offensive end and then a very big liability on the defensive end. I bring all this up because when people say that Isaiah Thomas is not currently in the NBA because he can't play defense, they aren't just making up those claims because of his height or because of, some anecdotal evidence. They're there are hard numbers to prove that statement. The thing is though, and this is where the turn of the video comes for everyone that is rooting for Isaiah, according to Isaiah Thomas, he has not been healthy until this season. So just know, when the Big C forced the NBA to shut down last March, Isaiah Thomas saw a chance to finally get his hip fixed. He would end up going to Edwin Sue, an orthopedic surgeon at New York's Hospital for Special Surgery, and Sue would say the surfaces of a joint should be nice and smooth, glistening cartilage like ice. Isaiah Thomas's hip was pitted like asphalt. Unbelievable. It's a hip that most people can't even walk on. You're gonna have daily pain at night, stiffness. Some people have trouble just functioning on a daily basis. So yes, Isaiah Thomas has not been healthy for quite some time, which meant on May 6th, Isaiah would undergo surgery. And with that, his surgeon says that Isaiah is now mechanically where he was pre-injury and that he's 100%. Isaiah himself has said, I can dunk the basketball again. I haven't dunked since 3 or 4 years ago. So keep that in mind as we continue on with this video, because Isaiah has claimed that since he got injured, he has never been fully healthy again until now. And it's also this point in this video where I'm gonna say, maybe this video is irrelevant in 10 days. Maybe Isaiah does not end up with the Lakers for the rest of the season. Maybe this is Isaiah's last chance in the NBA, who knows? But as Isaiah has said, my career hasn't ever been easy. I've beat the odds before. And as we mentioned before, Isaiah certainly has beaten the odds. He's 5'9", he was the last pick in the draft. You get the point on that, but now Isaiah is going to have to beat the odds in a way that he has never beat them before. I say this because Father Time is working against Isaiah right now. In just about 40 days, Isaiah is going to turn 33 years old, and for an NBA point guard, especially an undersized one, that is old. However, with that said, if there was one guy that is not playing in the NBA right now that I would bet on to do the work to get back into the NBA, it is Isaiah Thomas. I mean, if you've been watching the Isaiah Thomas saga unfold, well, then you know that back in 2017, Isaiah was an MVP candidate. He did average almost 30 points per game, but then back in March of 2017, Karl Anthony Towns fell on IT, and even though Isaiah would only miss 2 of the Celtics' remaining games, this injury would shut down Isaiah in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron James and the Cavaliers, and this injury would also ruin Isaiah Thomas's career. Now, for his part, Isaiah has said that his greatest regret is not having surgery immediately after the season was over, or possibly after getting traded to the Cavaliers. But he thought because he was going to be a free agent in 2018, he had to play in order to get a max contract, and of course, that ended up backfiring completely. To this day, Isaiah does say he holds no grudge against the Celtics. However, he's also said they could have gone into more detail on what could possibly happen if I continued to play. Now, unfortunately, that is not what happened. After hip surgery, Isaiah tried to make a recovery just 8 months later, and that ended up being a complete nightmare. As in the 2018 season, Isaiah would only average 14.7 points and shot just 36% from the field for the Cavaliers, a huge drop off from his numbers of 28.9 points and 46% shooting from the field just 1 year before. With all that in mind though, it is the point in this video where we do have to ask ourselves, just how good is Isaiah Thomas at scoring the basketball right now? Because if you ask Isaiah, he will say he's fine. He's been saying he's fine for a while, and he's been racking up performances while claiming he's fine. Isaiah scored 65 points in Atlanta. He scored 81 points while wearing Kobe's in the G League just recently. And by recently, I mean yesterday. Isaiah Thomas dropped 42 points in his G League debut. At every level of basketball that Isaiah has been playing at right now, he has been an absolute bucket. That includes playing for Team USA, where he has been a part of the 3v3 team, and he has also been an incredible leader. Now in Washington in 2020, again, as I mentioned before, Isaiah did not have a great season. However, listening to what Scott Brooks had to say about that season, he says, I love him. I love what he's about. It was then mentioned to Scott Brooks that he brought in Isaiah Thomas to set an inspiring example for his younger players, which he responded with, and he did just that. What he did to prepare for a game, a month of NBA games, a year of NBA games, is pretty remarkable. He spent all day to get his body and his mind right. He was fighting every day. He was willing to put himself out there knowing there's a chance he's not going to be the same. He loved the game so much that he was going to do whatever it took to get out there. And really, guys, I feel like this quote brings us to the perfect final segment of this video, which is this. What is the negative of signing Isaiah Thomas to your roster, especially if you are the Los Angeles Lakers? Now, as we all know, the Los Angeles Lakers have gotten off to a bit of a struggle to start off this year. They are 16 and 13 and things have been looking up. However, as of right now, as things have been looking up, Russell Westbrook is now in the Big C protocol, and so I feel like the Lakers have a great chance to see what Isaiah Thomas can do, and I'm very excited to see what he ends up doing. Because yes, in the 2021 season, playing for the Pelicans, Isaiah was not good. He averaged 7.7 points per game in 16 minutes per game and shot just 33%, and was also not good on defense. The thing is, no matter what Isaiah Thomas's haters say about him, no matter if they say he's too slow now or he's too short or whatever, the bottom line is this: Isaiah Thomas has been known as a good locker room presence. He has been known as a good guy to have on your bench to help the young players. He will do anything he can to get a chance on an NBA court. You can be sure the effort will be there, the veteran leadership will be there. What comes next? That is definitely a mystery. That remains to be seen. So there you have it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're new to the channel, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day, guys, and cue that music. If you're still here while the music is cued, here are two videos I think you are definitely going to enjoy. Make sure to click on one of them. Again, I know you're gonna love it. And other than that, have a great day and peace.